The phone lights up on the table with a name you have known your entire life, and before you even reach for it, you already know roughly what the call will be about. Not the exact words, just the shape of it. Something needs deciding, or something needs handling, or someone needs to hear a steady voice telling them it will be fine. You pick it up the way you always do, and you say hello in the tone you have somehow learned to use for these calls, the calm one, the one that sounds like you have things under control, even on the evenings when you do not. The kitchen is half dark behind you. Your dinner is going cold on the counter, and you stand there with the phone against your ear, nodding at things no one can see you nod at, already rearranging your week in your head. It is strange how natural it feels. You do not remember agreeing to be the one who gets this call. There was no conversation about it, no moment where someone sat you down and explained that this would become your role. It simply settled onto you over the years, quietly, the way dust settles on a shelf you walk past every day without noticing. One day, you were the youngest voice in the room, the one being reassured, and then somewhere along the way, the direction reversed, and now you are the voice doing the reassuring. You finish the call. You say the things that close these conversations, the small promises, the "I'll take care of it," the "don't worry." You set the phone back down on the table, face up, the way people do when they are half expecting it to ring again. The dinner is properly cold now. You sit anyway. You eat it anyway. And in the quiet that follows, there is a feeling you do not have a clean name for. Something between being needed and being weighed down. Because it is not that you mind, exactly. These are people you love. You would not hand the responsibility to anyone else. But there is a particular kind of tiredness that comes from carrying something no one ever named out loud, something that was never written down or agreed to, something that simply became yours. The expectations were never discussed. They arrived without a discussion, and maybe that is the part that sits oddly in the chest on an evening like this one, fork in hand, the house gone still around you. You look at the empty chairs at the table. You think about how much of your life now bends quietly around people who may not fully see how much it bends, not out of cruelty, just because some things are easier not to look at directly, and the fork keeps moving, and the food keeps disappearing, and the weight does not lift when the meal is done. That weight has a daily texture to it, and it shows up in places you would not think to look for it. It is in the way you keep a running list in the back of your mind that no one else seems to keep. The appointments and the renewals and the small things that fall apart if someone does not remember them. It is in how your phone fills with messages that all start the same way. With a question, with a small problem, with a "here is something for you to solve." You answer them between other things. On the train, in the elevator, in the gap between one meeting and the next. You have become good at handling other people's lives in the margins of your own. Mornings carry it too. You wake up, and before your feet touch the floor, some part of your mind is already taking inventory of who needs what today. You check the messages that came in overnight. You scan for the words that mean something requires you. And on the days when there is nothing, when the screen is quiet, there is an odd second of relief that almost feels like guilt because you have steered it to measure your mornings by the absence of demands rather than the presence of anything good. Then you get up and make the coffee and start the day. And the list begins to fill again, the way it always does. It lives in the calendar, this thing. You notice it when you try to plan something purely for yourself and find that you instinctively check first whether you will be needed elsewhere. You hold the date loosely, the way you have learned to hold your own plans loosely, because experience has taught you that the things you arrange for yourself are the first to be moved when something comes up at home. You do not even resent it most of the time. You have simply absorbed the lesson. Your time is the flexible time. Your evening is the one that can be given away. There is the money side of it too, quieter than the rest, rarely spoken about. The small amounts that move in directions you do not mention. The bill you cover without making it a thing. The way you have learned to be slightly more careful with your own spending so that you can be slightly more generous when someone needs it. No one asks you to do this in so many words. It is understood, and the understanding is the heaviest part, because a thing that is understood can never quite be put down. There's no agreement to renegotiate. There is only the role doing what the role does. It shows up at family gatherings most clearly of all. You arrive, and within minutes you are the one being pulled aside, the one being asked, the one whose opinion settles the matter. People look to you when a decision hangs in the air. You watch yourself step into it almost automatically, smoothing things over, finding the practical answer, holding the calm, and later, driving home, you replay it and notice how naturally everyone assumed you would carry that part. No one thanked you for it, not because they are ungrateful, but because it did not occur to anyone that it was a thing requiring thanks. It was just you being you. It was just the role being the role. And the strange thing is how invisible it all stays. From the outside, nothing about your life looks heavy. You go to work, you come home, you show up when you are needed, you answer the calls, you handle the things. To anyone watching, you are simply a reliable person, the kind of person every family is lucky to have. No one sees the inventory running in your head. No one sees the plans quietly set aside, the evenings rearranged, the careful spending, the constant low hum of being available. The effort is real, but it does not announce itself, and so it goes unseen, even by the people it is spent on. You tell yourself it is fine, and most of the time that is true. But there are evenings, like tonight, when you sit with the quiet after another small request handled, and you feel the shape of all the requests that came before it, stacked up over years, none of them large on their own, all of them adding up to something you never agreed to carry, and you wonder, just for a moment, how a person ends up holding so much that was never once placed in their hands on purpose. Maybe it was never placed in your hands at all. Maybe it grew there slowly, the way responsibility tends to grow in people. You think back on an evening like this, and you cannot find the starting point. There was no single day. There was only a long series of small moments where you stepped forward because someone had to. And each time you stepped forward, it became a little more expected that you would step forward the next time. Reliability is like that. It compounds. The more dependable you are, the more you are depended on, and the harder it becomes to ever be anything else. You begin to see, sitting here, that the role was partly written by your own hands. Not because anyone forced it, but because somewhere early on, you decided that being needed was a way of belonging. That if you were counted on, you would have a place. And it worked. You do have a place. But the place came with a cost you did not read in advance. The cost is that the version of you who is always fine, always capable, always there, has become the only version most people expect. There is a quiet realization in that, and it does not feel like blame. It feels more like recognition. You realize that the people around you are not asking too much on purpose. They are simply responding to who you have shown them. You taught them over years that you could handle it, and they believed you because you were convincing, because there was something steadying in being the strong one even when you did not feel strong at all. And underneath that, something older. You realize how much of this you inherited. You watched someone before. You carry the family this same way, quietly, without complaint. The expectations were never discussed because they were lived in front of you until they became the air you breathed. And now you breathe them out the same way, passing the same unspoken understanding to whoever is watching you. You notice, too, how rarely you let anyone see the cost. When someone asks how you are, you say you are fine. It is easier to be fine. It keeps the role intact. It keeps the calm intact. And so, the not saying becomes its own small habit. You have grown so used to carrying quietly that you would not know how to set the burden down, even if someone offered to help. There is a particular loneliness in that, and you feel it now, in the still kitchen, more clearly than you usually allow yourself to. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who love you and still feeling slightly unseen. They see the steadiness. They do not always see the person being steady, and you cannot entirely blame them. You sit with this, and you do not try to fix it, because there is nothing here to fix tonight. It is just a thing to notice. The role became heavy through the simple arithmetic of years, and recognizing that does not lighten the weight, but it does make it feel more like something you have been quietly living inside for a very long time. Looking at it directly, even for one evening, brings up more than you expected, because once you start to see the shape of the thing you carry, you start to see all the places it touches, and there are more of them than you would have guessed. You see it in your body first, in the way your shoulders sit higher. In the tightness, you have stopped noticing because it has simply become how your body is now. You carry tension the way you carry everything else, quietly, efficiently, without making a sound about it. And you realize you cannot remember the last time you felt fully off duty, fully unreachable, fully allowed to not be available. You see it in how you relate to rest. Rest has become something you have to earn, and even then, you do not fully arrive. Because part of you stays on call. You sit down to relax, and the relaxing has a thin edge to it, a readiness, an ear half tuned to the phone. You have forgotten what it feels like to rest without a corner of your mind standing guard, and you notice that even your free time has shaped itself around the role, that you choose the easy things, the low things, things that ask nothing of you, because you have already given so much of your attention away that there is not much left. You see it in your relationships too. You are the steady friend, the one who remembers, the one who shows up. The role did not stay contained. It spread, because once you become a certain kind of person, you tend to become that person everywhere. And so, even in friendships, you find yourself in the same position, carrying, holding, being the reliable one. You wonder quietly whether anyone in your life has ever been the reliable one for you, whether you would even know how to let them. You think about the future, and the future has the role written into it. You see yourself still here, still being called. As the people above you grow older, the weight will not get lighter. It will grow. The decisions will get larger. The responsibilities will deepen. There is no version of the future where you simply set it down, because that would mean becoming a stranger. You think about what it would even mean to ask for help. The thought is almost foreign. It does not fit comfortably in your hands. To ask for help would be to admit the steadiness has a limit, and admitting the limit feels like it might crack everything. There is a fear underneath it, that if you stopped being the one who carries, the whole arrangement might wobble, that the calm you provide is load-bearing. And so you keep holding, because you are no longer sure what happens if you do not. You notice the resentment, finally, the one you usually do not let yourself feel. It is faint. It is not directed at anyone in particular. It is more like a low ache that surfaces on the tired evenings. A small voice that wonders why it always has to be you. Why no one ever seems to ask whether you are all right underneath the all right you always say, and then, almost immediately, the guilt comes to cover it, because these are people you love, because they did not mean for it to be this way, because what kind of person resents helping their own family? So you push it back down, the way you always do, and you feel slightly ashamed of having felt it at all. But it was there. It is always there, just beneath the surface, and pretending it is not there has its own quiet cost. And then, underneath even the resentment, something softer and harder to look at. You realize how much you actually love being the one who can be counted on, that it is not only a burden, that somewhere in the weight there is meaning, real meaning, the kind that is hard to find anywhere else. When the people you love are steadier because you are there, something in you is fed by that, something true. You would not trade it away even on the heaviest night. And that is the part that makes it so complicated, because it is not a simple story of a person crushed by obligation. It is the story of a person who chose, again and again, to carry something heavy because the carrying meant something, and who only sometimes wishes the weight were a little more shared. You see how the love and the weight are braided together so tightly that you could not pull them apart even if you wanted to. The same impulse that tires you is the impulse that gives your life much of its shape and meaning. You cannot keep one and discard the other. They came together. They stayed together. And maybe that is what nobody tells you about being the reliable one, that it is not a trap and not a gift, but both at once. Two things wearing the same face, arriving in the same phone calls, sitting in the same cold dinners, eaten alone after another small problem has been handled. You sit with all of it, the body holding tension, the rest that never fully arrives, the role that spread everywhere, the future already written, the help you cannot ask for, the resentment and the guilt, and the love underneath them both. You do not arrange it into a lesson. You do not decide anything. You just let yourself see it all at once, for the first time in a long while, the whole quiet architecture of a life built around being needed. And in seeing it, nothing changes, and everything is slightly different. The way a room is different once you finally turn on the light and notice how long you have been sitting in it, in the dark. The room does not actually need the light turned on. The kitchen is the same kitchen it was an hour ago, half dark, quiet. The dinner plate now empty in front of you. Nothing has been solved. The phone is still face up on the table where you left it, and it may ring again tonight or tomorrow with another name you have known your whole life, and another small thing that needs your steady voice. You know this? You have made your peace with it long ago, in the wordless way a person makes peace with the things they were never asked about. But something is a little different now, sitting here, even if nothing on the outside has moved. You looked at the weight directly for once, instead of carrying it with your eyes turned away. You saw how it grew, and where it came from, and how much of it was love wearing the clothes of duty. And seeing it does not lift it. The shoulders still sit high. The list still runs in the back of your mind. Tomorrow you will wake and check the messages before your feet touch the floor. The same as every morning. The role is still yours. It was always going to stay yours. You think back to the empty chairs you noticed earlier, and they do not look quite so heavy now. They are just chairs. They hold the people you love, the people who lean on you, the people who taught you how to be leaned on without ever saying a word. You think of the one who carried all this before you, quietly, the way you carry it now, and you feel something close to tenderness toward them, a small understanding that arrives years too late. They probably sat in a quiet kitchen like this one too. They probably never said so. You pick up the plate and you wash it the way you always do, because the small things still need doing, whether or not you have just seen the whole shape of your life. The water runs warm over your hands. The house is still around you, and there's a strange comfort in the ordinariness of it, in the fact that recognition does not require you to change anything tonight, that you are allowed to simply know what you carry and keep carrying it a little more gently with yourself now that you have admitted it is there. The phone stays quiet for now. You leave it where it is. You turn off the tap and stand for a moment in the stillness. The dish drying, the evening settling the way evenings do. Tomorrow, the calls will come and you will answer them in the calm voice, and most days you will not think about any of this at all. But tonight, you saw it, and maybe that is enough. Just to have seen it once, just to have sat in the quiet kitchen and finally let yourself notice the weight you have been carrying so faithfully for people who love you and may never fully know what it cost, and who you would carry anyway, again and again, exactly as you always have.